Verbally Effective with Ina Esco is an interview-style podcast that intersects art, culture, politics, and entertainment with a Memphis focus. Each week, I'm joined by a featured guest with roots in Memphis. Verbally Effective delves into each guest's personal journey to uncover the incredible stories fueling their purpose, the highs and lows of their pursuits, and how through their passion, they are moving the culture forward. Be sure to follow Verbally Effective and Ina Esco on Instagram. Also, download the Verbally Effective podcast on SoundCloud, iTunes, and Google Play Music. Don't forget to check out the website and submit to be a guest at verballyeffective.com. Greetings, and welcome to another edition of the Verbally Effective Podcast. I'm your host, your double E, Ina Esco. This is the podcast that intersects art, culture, politics, and entertainment with a Memphis focus. Be sure to subscribe to the podcast on all streaming platforms and that Ina Esco YouTube channel as well. Happy holidays, ladies and gentlemen. Today, I have one of my beautiful sorors on the podcast with me. She's a media sister as well. I'm talking about WREG News Channel 3 reporter Bria Jones. What's up, beautiful?
Hey, soror.
Hi, soror. How are you?
Here.
Yes, I saw you at the Freedom Awards. I was like, I gotta get you on the podcast.
And happy anniversary.
Thank you.
Thank you. Post, Black love.
15 years, honey. It's been a journey.
So you have some stories too.
I have a lot of stories.
Okay.
Yes. Look, you'll be interviewing me next.
Hey, I'm always looking for a good interview.
I kind of feel that way.
Always.
I feel that way. So, Bria, let's start at the beginning. Where are you originally from?
Originally, I'm from Blytheville, Arkansas, a little town in Mississippi County, Arkansas. And then I came to Memphis when I was about 7. So moved to Memphis. So my mom is here in Memphis, and then my dad is in San Antonio.
Wow.
So I've been kind of like back and forth, but most of my schooling was down here in Memphis. So we moved to Hickory Hill when I was about 7. And then 7 or 8, and then I would go back and forth, like sometimes between San Antonio and then Memphis. But then ultimately, I graduated from Cordova High School.
Cordova.
So Wolfpack for life.
How was Cordova?
I love Cordova. Cordova was my introduction to journalism.
Okay.
So like we had a newspaper called the Wolf Tales. That was like my first like entry to journalism. And then this is kind of like old school, but like Commercial Appeal used to have the Teen Appeal.
Okay, I remember that.
I was a part of the Teen Appeal.
Come on, Teen Appeal.
So I was Wolf Tales and I was Teen Appeal, and then I went to college and then came back to do some type of like advisory thing for the Teen Appeal. But like Cordova was like my first introduction, and I had a high school teacher that said, "When you talk, people listen," and that kind of I didn't really know what he meant. He was like, "You should be a newscaster. Like when you talk, people listen," but it didn't like resonate yet. So like, but a few years later, I got what he was trying to say.
Okay, so were you always interested in journalism, or?
So originally, I think I wanted to be a psychologist when I was younger. Okay, but the thing is, I wanted to write, like whatever I was doing, I wanted to write. Okay. So I thought that I was gonna have magazines. I wanted to be like a younger version of like Oprah, but I want to be truly honest. Like I wasn't at that point comfortable being in front of the camera, because I didn't have what a lot of people think is the look. So I was really big on being behind the scenes. So I wanted to be a writer, and my dream was to be like a Black Carrie Bradshaw. Like I went to college in New York City because I wanted to work for the New York Times. I was like, I got to be in New York City. And then it just kind of all happened.
Let's talk about that for a minute, because you went to St. John University. So how was that experience in New York, coming from Memphis?
Okay, so when I first got there, everybody kept asking me to say finna all the time. I'm like, they just thought that I was so country. So New York was amazing. I was at St. John's for 3.5 years. I graduated in 2015.
You graduated early.
Well, I did. Well, not necessarily early. It was a long story, but I had to have emergency surgery my freshman year. Okay. So then I did I came back that spring semester. So instead of starting in the fall, I started in the spring. Gotcha. And then I just had to do everything and then graduate on time. But New York was fun. I did my first internship. That's when I came back home and I interned rather. I think it was Clear Channel at the time with Stormy and everybody over there. So that was a lot of fun. And then I went back to New York and I started my like first big internship was at the Wendy Williams show.
Let's talk about it. Because I am a huge Wendy Williams fan. So you were there when she was in her prime.
I was.
How was it working for Wendy Williams?
Okay, so there was a lot of. Okay, let me see. Okay,
yeah,
there's a lot of stuff. I will say this: like Wendy is amazing. As far like just to see her was just like she was on it. Like she was just in the zone. Like she was super focused, and she's really good at what she does. Now, of course, you got all the celebrity stuff. Like I remember them telling us like certain things, like, you know, we can't look at her in the eye. You know, like she, you know, like we can't look at her unless she looks at us. Or if she was on the elevator, we had to get out the elevator.
What?
Just like little stuff like that. I remember all that stuff, and now some things make sense now that certain things are coming out because her husband at the time, Kevin, was
he always up there?
Oh, he worked there.
Okay, so
he was always there in like some type of velour Versace tracksuit.
He was the director.
He was really extra. Like I remember one time because the interns, like we have to do like little petty stuff, like, you know, if Wendy, like we would have to get like wheatgrass shots for everybody, or we would like have to wash the dishes after the cooking segments. Or like I remember one time like I had to go buy like a birthday present for Wendy's sister. And I got a card that she didn't like, so then I had to go back and get another card. But like we had to do like those little like, just kind of like, remember that show Diddy had, like Working for Diddy? Yes. Like getting dry cleaning, like all that stuff.
Oh, it's really like that.
And you didn't get paid.
You didn't get paid, but you wanted that experience on the Wendy Williams. But I wanted that experience.
Yeah. And I remember when I left there, her hairstylist at the time, her makeup artist, the one that had the dreads. He was basically.
Mearl, is that the name?
I think that's not.
That might be the hairdresser.
She got a whole bunch of people to work for her. No, maybe it was the stylist. Yes, and he has like kind of like dreads, kind of like that. Anyways, it was really dope. But I remember him coming to me. He was like, "We see like everybody in this building sees how hard you work. Like, just know that everybody sees how hard you work. Like you're working harder than everybody else here, and we all see it." And that was just kind of like a good fit. Like I wasn't getting paid, but like I was grinding. Like I wanted to be there. Like we were helping. Like that's when I also learned about producing TV, like what goes into the segments, like building those type of like interview profiles, like learning everything you can about your subject, and like just seeing like what are the best questions you can ask, because there are producers, like there's an amazing team there that's doing a lot of work for 20 minutes of television. Yeah. You know? Like, there's literally a team there to produce Ask Wendy, and, you know, that's only maybe 90 seconds of television, but it takes hours to produce that for that perfect TV moment. Yes. So, you know, it was a good experience.
And she had a good ride.
She did. And I hate just to be there in her presence and seeing how amazing and excellent she is or was. It's it was sad to see it just kind of come to an end.
So abruptly and under the circumstances. Yeah. Like, wait a minute, this is legendary Wendy. Wow.
It's frustrating. Well, but blessings to her. Yes. I'm wishing her speedy recovery.
I do too.
She deserves it.
I do too. I saw an interview with her with WBLS, her former employer, and she looked good. But hey, they may put a new video up today where she don't look good, and we like, well, what happened?
Fingers just crossed. I mean,
fingers crossed. Okay, Bria. So let's get into, how did you end up at Channel 3 News?
Are you ready for my story?
I am.
Are you ready for my story?
Yes.
Okay, I'm gonna give you the cliff notes. Okay. So I went to St. John's. We talked about this. I went to St. John's. I came home and I worked for another TV station in Memphis, but I was a digital producer. And I really wanted to be a reporter. So there were people that poured into me in Memphis, Darcy Thomas, Mearl Purvis, Jarita Patterson. Like, Jarita has went too bad. Like, Jarita and I now work together at Channel 3, but, like, she was the person, like, drove with me to my first market. Like, my car was smoking, like, took me to my first day of work, like, all of that stuff. Like, those people have been, like, instrumental, like, in my growth, my process. Even people behind the scenes, like, one of my good friends, Nicole Willis, like, those people just kind of poured into me and like helped me every step of the way. But essentially I left that station and I wanted to be a reporter, but there wasn't any space for me. But the news director at the time, she said, hey, I can't promise you a job. I can't give you a job, but I'll help you get there. And from there, I was able to make a reel. And I took that reel, and then I went to Monroe, Louisiana. So I left my full-time job as a digital producer for a part-time job as a reporter in Monroe. But I was probably part-time for about 3 months. And then they offered me a full-time job as a reporter. So I was like, okay, I'm making it. And then from there, you know, reporters, we don't make a lot of money. So I had to get another job. I remember I was a hostess at Chili's. People was like, news lady, like, are you like moonlighting? Like, what is going on? Like, what are you doing here? And I'm like, hey, I'm on the news too, but I have to bust these tables because I have to afford to look like I'm on the news as well.
Bria, and that's what a lot of people don't understand in media. They just see the glitz and glam that you're on TV. And even in radio, people thought that we made lots of money. We don't!
People don't I'm like, do y'all want to see my check stub? Okay.
It's a grind out.
It's a grind. But we love what we do. And I'm passionate about my job. Like, I'm passionate about journalism. I'm passionate about telling stories. Like, I wouldn't have gone through so much of the struggle if I didn't want to, like, my purpose is this. Like, I truly feel that. And so I was in Monroe for 2 years. I had the job at Chili's. Then maybe like a year later, I was like, okay, I can't be working at Chili's. Like, my feet hurt. I'm tired. Then I got another job where my feet hurt, but it was better. I was doing fragrance at Dillard's. So I did that. And then after that, I came home to Memphis because I was like, okay, the job, while I enjoyed being there in Monroe, was like, it was a great experience. I wanted something else. It was time to move on. And so I couldn't find a job, but I came on to Memphis for about 6 months. And just kind of like took a break, did like some Ubering and stuff. And then I got a job in Flint, Michigan.
Okay.
Yeah. So I went to Flint for 2 years.
Wow, I didn't know you went to Flint.
I went to Flint. I was
as a reporter.
As a reporter.
Okay.
I went to Flint as a reporter.
Did that money look a little better in Flint?
Just a
tad.
Just a little better. Just a little better. But I went to Flint because God was like, okay, if you go to Flint, like there's something on the other side of it.
And that's a bigger market from Monroe.
Yes. So it was a bigger market. Like Flint was like 70 something at the time. But I do have to be honest, like before I went to Flint like brokenhearted because I really wanted to come to Memphis. And I did interviews at like maybe 2 places. I met with the news director at another station. He was like, you know, you're not ready just yet. But some people come to Memphis straight out in the bat, you know, or after 2 years. He was like, you're not ready just yet. And there was another.
Did he tell you why?
He didn't. He just said like maybe just a little bit more experience. Okay. But there are some people that didn't have as much experience.
You know how they go.
You know.
Okay.
But while I was brokenhearted was this other station, and I really wanted to work at the station I was previously at. Whew, child, I'm just getting over this, honestly.
Just getting over it.
So basically, he told someone that he didn't know if plus size would work in the Memphis market.
What?
And that he wished that he could have my talent and somebody else's looks.
No.
And that would be the perfect candidate. And
that was communicated to you?
That was told back to me. And I was devastated, honestly, because this was my dream. And it was like, I wanted to be in Memphis more than anything. And it was like, why wasn't it happening? And, you know, I'm from this community. Like, people in this community look like me. Like, when I go somewhere, they're like, I love seeing you because you remind me of my auntie, my mama, my sister, my cousin. You know what I'm saying? But it was heartbroken for somebody not from this community to come and to tell me, or for it to get back to me, that they didn't think that I was worthy because they didn't want me to work in the community that I'm a part of. I look like these people. These people look like me. But you don't think that I have the look to serve this community?
You showing them now,
you know
baby.
what I'm saying? So anyway.
But you know what? I hate that about the industry. And it's a industry based on a lot of vanity.
It is.
And a perception of what women should look like. And they're not as hard on the men. That's a whole nother subject. That's a
whole nother subject.
Okay. Back to the story. Back to the story. How we got it Channel 3 though.
Okay, so anyway, went to Flint, Joy Flint, did some work. I finally got to fill in at the very end. I did a little bit of fill in Monroe, but got to do some in Flint, and then it was time.
It was time.
It's 2 years. 2 years later, this was what 2021 at this point. So I've been in Memphis now. It'll be a year next week. So I started. Thank you. I started interviewing. And I got like maybe 2 other offers this time that I ended up turning down. And one of them was in Milwaukee. It was a bigger market, but I was like, I wanted to go, but it was like, Lord, Flint is cold enough.
Cold in a mug.
I don't know if I want to be a part of this. So then I ended up interviewing at another station in Memphis. They offered me a job, and I was going to accept it, but honestly, something didn't feel necessarily right, if I'm being honest. And the people were great. The station was lovely, but something just said, like, I don't know if this is it. But I wanted to come home, so I was like, am I just crazy? Like, this is my opportunity to come to Memphis. And then another station reached out in Memphis to me, and I started talking with them, and I really liked the vibe of this station too. But I was like, I'm not sure. But the day, I literally had to make a decision on the first station that reached out that offered me on a Friday. Channel 3 emailed me on a Wednesday. I said, hey, I don't really have much time. Like, I have to let this other station know within 48 hours. That Thursday, I ended up doing like a phone interview. And then Friday, my now news director called me, and we talked. And he was like, hey, I know you got a decision to make. I've never really done this before. Like, let me see. And then maybe within an hour later, he called me back, and he offered me the job. And I was like, it just felt right. And I took it. So,
over there, News 3. Here we are, Bria Jones, your reporter. Now, talk about a day in the life as a reporter for Channel 3 and in Memphis with Memphis News, baby.
Memphis
is Memphisin.
Memphis is off the chain.
Yes, it is.
And it requires some type of like finesse, but then like you can't forget that like these are real families. Like, yes, this may be the 10th shooting of the week, but this family, like this pain that they're experiencing, this is raw, this is real. Like, you need to be delicate, like you need to handle this with care, because I don't take it for granted. I meet people on the worst day of their lives, literally. When I meet you, unfortunately, most of the times you are experiencing something that you will never forget. And it's an honor for you to even take the time to talk with me, to share your pain with me, to share your story with me. And I just try to handle that with care, how I would want to be treated, how I would want to be handled, and go from there.
Yes, because, I know we were talking before the podcast started about the 13-year-old girl from Batesville that was shot. And I've been following along with you with this story. Yeah. And it's just so tragic. And, we often hear these stories. And to be a reporter,
it's heartbreaking.
It's heartbreaking. Yeah. And I'm wondering, since you hear these stories so much, the same content, are you a little desensitized?
And I think and I feel like in a way I am, but then I try to reel myself back in, because I never want to be disrespectful. And while I may see this type of pain frequently, I'm very well aware that this is new to you. This is some type of like a fiery, like that pain never leaves. I have homicide families, they're all on my Facebook years later. Like, that pain just only grows for them, it seems. So like that she was 16. So she was 16. She was from Batesville. She was visiting in Memphis, and I think her mom said she had went to work and she dropped her off with a friend of hers daughter. And then she got a call a couple hours later, around like 7:50, like a little before 8:00, that she was shot in the head, and she thought she was going to make it, and she died the next morning. And then a few days later, I think Thanksgiving, they charged the 13-year-old with reckless homicide. So then you're already, it's just heartbreaking to think this one family, this mom crying, she's, I just keep seeing my baby's face. I wish I could rewind time. But then you also have this other family of this 13-year-old that's now charged with reckless homicide. And you can only imagine how they're feeling as well,
Oh my God.
So just, these are really delicate and like raw situations. And as a reporter, you're faced with, how are these people even going to handle me when I approach them? Like, hey, I'm Bria Jones for News Channel 3. Do you want to talk to me? Like, something traumatic just happened to you. Why would you even want to talk to me? And I feel uncomfortable, even reaching out sometimes. But I know that these are stories that need to be told. And it's one thing I always tell people, a 16-year-old was shot and killed. But when I say that Takaya Nelson of Batesville, Mississippi, who dreamed of being a dancer and a lawyer, was killed, that adds something to the story. Yeah. So that's what I always tell people.
Wow. Let's talk about this, Bria, because I often, hear about or just, people say Memphis news focuses so much on the negative. Now, as a reporter and working in news, do you agree, or is that just those are the leading stories that day? I mean, how does that work?
So we try to mingle everything in, honestly. Like, I hear what people, when they say that, and I understand where they're coming from. And I smile the days that I do get to tell a happy story. But we do have those pockets of happy stories in there. Like, we have our community changers, we have our bright spots. So we're making sure that we tell the positive stories in Memphis. But the reality is, and people may not like this, but what they click on Facebook is 4 people shot and killed somewhere, not so-and-so wins award for making donuts. Like, unfortunately, like, people want to see those positive stories, and we make sure to put them out there. But they're also not following and going to those happy stories the way that they should. It's like, we're honestly not, you're in a tough space of feeding the beast, and there are certain things that you have to go after. Like, you have to follow some of those stories. But the thing is, it's also important. You don't need to cover every shooting. Like, what's the viewer value in that? Like, I personally feel like there's no need to cover every single shooting. However, you will find that if we don't cover some shootings, people will reach out and say, hey, my loved one was killed on this street. Y'all haven't said anything about it, Yeah. So it's like a double-edged sword. It's like, people like, hey, why haven't you talked about my baby? Right. Right. So you literally have people that reach out, they want to tell their loved one's stories. Versus, not wanting to. There's some people that want you to see their story, or they want to honor their loved one after something traumatic. But then I try to also, you need that balance too. You do. You need that balance. You need both.
You do.
But it's like, personally, like, what do you think people are gravitating towards?
Right. You're right about that. And with social media, I feel like things have become very competitive with the news that we watch on our local stations versus what we see on social media. Let's talk about journalistic integrity and sources.
Yes. Ooh, child.
Do you guys do you have Pookie in South Memphis that might hit you up like, Bria?
Well, you never reveal your sources. That's one thing I'm struggling with. So if you're watching this and you want to be a source of mine,
but you got a handful of
I'm only a year in, so I'm working on building sources. But I feel like anytime, like, I try to tell people, you don't burn your sources, first of all. If any younger journalists are watching, you don't burn your sources. Make sure that you protect them, because you want them to continue to give you information. But I just try to tell everybody, like, even regular people, like people who are not sources, hey, if you ask me not to do something, like just the story about the 16-year-old that was killed. There was some surveillance video that I got of some people running away from the scene, and the man said, hey, I will give you this, but I want you to blur my car. Like, don't show my car. Like, I don't want any part of this. I said, hey, I will honor that. I made sure that we blurred his vehicle, because when I leave your neighborhood, I am not neighborhood watch. I cannot protect you. And people are literally fearing for their lives. So I'm not going to do anything to jeopardize you, because I'm not going to be there if someone wants to retaliate against you. So I understand and I respect your wishes. So if you want to remain anonymous and give me a tip and I'll look into it, we can go from there.
Yeah, those be probably the best tips.
Those are the people that know. The people that are in the neighborhoods, they know the tea. They know what's going on.
Yes.
So
you've been a year in.
A year next week.
A year next week. Congratulations,
Thank you.
Bria. Now, when we first started the podcast, you told me when you were younger, you probably felt there wasn't a space for you. Do you feel there's a space for you now? How do you feel now about where you are today?
That is an excellent question.
Thank you. Thank you.
I feel like there's a space for me, and it's almost kind of scary sometimes, because if you're not ready to step into who you are, and I'm still working on this, like, I'm doing it in strides, but I feel like there's a space for me and I need to tap into it. And Memphis has embraced the hell out of me. When I tell you, these people are showing me so much. There's a lot of people that's a whole nother story, they don't show love, but we're not focusing on them. We're not focusing on them. Okay, so I have to show you this, but I was Lizzo for Halloween.
Okay, Lizzo.
And it came about because there are people in the comments on YouTube that be like, why is Lizzo's sister reporting? You know, like,
No.
I'm like, you know what? I'm going to show you Lizzo, okay? So Lizzo went to Beale Street, and I had to show you the video.
Show me the video.
But, you know, I feel like there's a space for me, and I'm tapping into it, and I want to walk in all of what God has for me. So
amen.
That's where I'm at.
Amen. Yes.
I'm baby steps, but I'm gonna walk. I'm running. I want to run into it. Right now I'm kind of just
baby stepping. Wait till you tap into that full potential, though, Bria.
I'm excited.
It's amazing. Yes.
I'm excited.
You're doing a wonderful job.
Thank you so much.
Yes, I love tuning into you.
Thank you.
Now, what are the future? Like, I know we right here, right now, but what are your goals down the line in media?
See, that's another good question.
Taking it one day at a time.
I'm taking it one day at a time. I think the thing is, I feel like sometimes my dreams get ahead of me that I'm like, okay, well, this is where I want to be. Like, how do I get there? But I know we talked about like the greats like Wendy Williams. Like, I would love to have my own platform in the future. Like, I would love to have my own show, like my own platform where people can tune in or wake up to me and enjoy what I have to say, whether or not it's like right now I'm hyper local and I still want to tell local stories, but no matter what, like I want to tell stories that matter to people. Like that's what I strive to do every day, whether I get an assignment that I'm super excited about or one that I'm like, oh Lord, I don't know how this is going to go, but every story matters to somebody. And I would love to do that on like a larger platform, whatever that looks like. I don't know what it looks like just yet. Okay. But I know that I want my own platform. Whether that be a show or a podcast or a virtual show or something. Yes. You know, like what you're doing right now, this is your show. Like you're telling positive stories coming out of Memphis. You know what I'm saying? Like, and we need love. Like you said, like we got a lot going on. A lot. So stuff like this is impactful.
Yes, I appreciate that, Bria. Yeah. I appreciate it. Now, do you feel like as a reporter working for a news station, do you have restrictions on you on what you can post online in your personal life?
I definitely have restrictions.
So that's in your contract.
WREG owns me.
Okay. So if you wanted to start this new platform, it would have to be
I don't know, but but like there are obviously certain things like when you're in the public eye, there's just certain things that you just stay away. Like honestly, social media is not as fun for me. Like I love posting like our links and stuff like on my like social media platforms. But I know that I represent a bigger brand that's bigger than me, so I don't want to do anything to jeopardize that. I don't want to say how I feel about certain things. It's like, okay, no, and then, this is also a cancel culture. Yes. Like, I don't want to get canceled. Like, I'm just.
Right. You're constantly under a microscope right now.
Yes.
But what does Bria like to do outside of Channel 3? Tell us a little bit about Bria that she can say.
Oh, Lord.
What does Bria like to do besides getting on the scene and giving you the 411?
See, okay, so I love shopping. So I do like to shop. Okay. But again, we talked about the reporter budget. Right. So
but see, you shopping now because remember when we couldn't shop?
We couldn't shop at all.
Now we shopping.
Now we get to shop a little bit. So I love shopping. I love watching TV. Like I don't get to watch as much TV as I like, but right now I'm watching Love is Blind.
Okay.
And I'm like,
why
am I watching this?
The new season. Oh, Lord.
But it's one of those things, like, I'm excited to watch The Crown. Like, I love The Crown.
I'm done with The Crown.
Okay. You already finished it?
Yes.
Okay, so I haven't watched, like, it's one of those things I just need to, like, enjoy.
You got to digest it, too.
Exactly.
You got to really pay attention to what's going on.
Exactly. So I'm looking forward to watching that. I just finished watching From Scratch.
I saw From Scratch. That was good. No good. Okay, so you're on your Netflix kick right now.
Yeah, so I'm into Netflix. I like the Kardashians. It's kind of like my guilty pleasure. And then shopping.
I took a break from the Kardashians.
You took a break?
I took a break.
They everywhere.
I don't let Ye stuff piss me off, Bria. I'm like,
is it? Are you mad at him or are you mad at them?
All of them. All of them. Ye too. All of them.
That's
it's
fair.
just a lot came out there.
That's fair. That's fair.
Okay.
And then I hang out with my family. I'm here now. So I hang out with my family. I spend a lot of time with my sister, my friends. Some stuff that I was not able to do when I was away for like the last 4 or 5 years. Yes. So that's been fun. And then just trying to every once in a while like sneak in some me time because there's always so much going on.
Yes, ma'am.
I was just trying to get my life together.
Get your life together. Yeah. Wow. Now, speaking of me time, what is a typical day of me time for Bria looks like. Just, you know, outside of Netflix, but like, you know, because, you know, I feel like a lot of us women are doing more self-care and just taking, you know, a break from it all.
Well, recently I hired a personal trainer.
Come on, personal trainer.
I know. I'm trying to get my life together.
Yes. How is that going?
It's been going good. Okay. It's been going good. The thing is, I got to wake up really early. So, like, I go to, like, a group class. So, it's like, okay, you know, the class starts at 6:15. I'm nice size, so I don't really leave downtown until like 11 most days. And then I got a 30-minute drive to Cordova. Then by the time you get home, it's like almost midnight, sometimes after midnight. Yeah. And then to be back up at like 5.
All over again. It's a sacrifice you got to make.
It is for the greater good. So I'm like, you know what? This is a time where I'm trying to focus on that. So that's honestly really my me time currently. And then like a little bit of time before work. But I go to work at 2, so during the weekdays, I probably don't have much me time. That's why on the weekends I like to, you know, just find like some friends that I can hang out with or just like some downtime to chill. Yeah.
Like to chill downtown.
I have been. Downtown, I'm like, this is not the same Memphis. Like,
no, it's
Memphis
not.
Look different. Yes. Like, this is a different
lot of
Memphis.
Development going on downtown.
And I love it for us because I remember not having all of this. Like, maybe I was too young to enjoy it or appreciate it, but I feel like right now there's a lot more ever than there ever was. So I'm enjoying this like rebirthing of Memphis.
Yes, I am.
I love
too.
it.
I am too.
I love it.
A lot to look forward to, and it's the holidays. It's the holidays. Everything just feels just
good. It feels good. You feel all warm and fuzzy.
Oh, warm and cozy. Okay, Bria, repeat after me.
Okay.
Amen. Say mine.
Amen. Say man.
Look, she said, okay, Channel 3, you heard her say amen. Say man. This is a moment of transparency between me and you.
Okay.
I want you to tell me, what is the best advice that you've ever received from a media professional that you are carrying out right now or that's really sticking with you?
Something that's really sticking with me. I'm trying to think here. Okay. You know, I'm going to read something. Let me see if I can find it real quick. This is something that somebody told me here recently. Okay. I never wanted you to wait until others saw your light. God put it there and no one can snuff it out. Don't you ever forget that.
Boom.
And Mearl Purvis sent that to me a few months ago. And I think she's, like a lot of the people that I mentioned earlier, they know my story. And I waited so long for other people to think that I was worthy. But you are worthy. And you can do it.
Yes, indeed.
So just go for it. It's yours.
Yes.
It is literally yours. Anything that you want to be, just attach, jump on it, ride it till you can't ride it no more. Like, go after your goals. Like, pursue everything that you want to do, literally. Because you can do it.
What did you think when you received that text from Mearl Purvis?
It sent chills through my body. Literally, it sent chills through my body. And it was like, I started to tear up because so much of, I felt like my self-worth was tied into what other people think about me. But it's so much more than that.
And many of us are like that.
Yeah.
And many of us do that.
I'm always like, what does this news director think about me? Or what does so-and-so think about me? Or does this person like me? But it's like, you have this God-given talent and it's yours. Bottle it up, keep it with you, carry it everywhere you go, and use it.
Yes, use it. Let him use
literally.
You. Hello. Now, like you've mentioned Mearl Purvis and a few of the legends that have graced our television, local news. What do you think is the biggest difference between the legends and the reporters that we have now with your class coming in?
I mean, you have some goats. Like, I can't take this. Stephanie Scurlock. Okay, let me just tell you something.
The goat.
I love Stephanie Scurlock. Like,
I do too.
I literally love Stephanie Scurlock. And now that I work with her, like, we get to have a lot of conversations, and it's just kind of funny. Just, you know, she's kind of coming onto my life as another mentor. But I will say that they did a lot for us, and they set the foundation. Like, they literally worked their butts off. And just even hearing Stephanie's story of being at Channel 3 for so long and working her way up to, you know, now be in that spot and setting the foundation for younger reporters like myself, she's, her, Claudia Barr, Mearl Purvis, we got people like Darcy Thomas, Jarita Patterson. Yep. We have so many legends that, have paved the way for Black female newscasters here in the city of Memphis. And, even broadcasters. When I think about Stormy's voice, I'm like, this is a golden voice. You know what I'm saying? Like, just so many people. Like, even here, when I met you, I was like, I know your name. Like, I know your voice. Like, I've heard you. You know what I'm saying? Like, y'all have been grinding in this city, making it a long time, making it easier for people like myself to kind of come in. And hopefully, we can work out some stuff where we can carry on the torch, because y'all have done such a good job.
You guys are doing a great job. You guys are doing an absolutely wonderful job right now.
Thank you. We trying. We out here grinding too.
Yes.
And some, like everybody, sometimes you fall short. But y'all have set the foundation to where we know that, hey, there is no limits on what we can do.
Bria, any advice for any, young ladies out here that want to jump into media? What advice do you have for these young ladies out here, or even fellas that may be interested in getting into the business?
I think my biggest piece of advice will be to never let anybody tell you that you can't do something. And I think that people need to know that you will hear more no's than you do yeses.
Definitely.
But, okay, as they say, a dream delayed is not a dream denied. And I think that people need to literally internalize that and know that there will be some pushback. Not everybody will welcome you with open arms. But if it's in your heart, if this is a desire that you have, if you believe this is your destiny, you got to keep on going. And that's what I'm just keep on. They say no, I go back. They say no, I go back. But, hey, now I'm in Memphis at the #1 station, and I just got nominated for an Emmy.
Got nominated for an Emmy. Yes.
Glory be to God. I can't make it up. Like, a little girl from Blytheville, Arkansas, they told me, hey, plus size is not for Memphis. I came to Memphis. These people have embraced me. My followers have grown tremendously. And here we are.
And you getting that Emmy, Bria.
I'm going to claim it. I want to see
you better claim it. Yes. Okay. I'm so proud of you. And I enjoy watching you on Channel 3.
Thank you
I
so
just
much.
look forward to everything you got coming, because I feel like
I'm trying.
It's coming. More is coming. We're
going to speak it into existence. It's coming.
We are. Now, how can everyone on the Verbally Effective podcast continue to follow your journey?
So we have, we got so much social media these days.
Yes, we do.
We got Facebook. We got Instagram. So I'm Bria Jones TV across all my platforms. Just make sure the legit ones will say WREG. So it should be at Bria Jones TV. So BRIA Jones Traditional TV.
Well, thank you so much, for coming today.
This means so much for even to you to think enough of me to invite me. So thank you.
Yes, and to hear your story is amazing. I didn't know you went through all of that. And that's the thing about it. When people come on this podcast, you just never know what people go through.
People think they're like, oh, she's there, but it's like there was a lot to get there.
A lot of challenges.
A lot of challenges to get to where I am now, but I wouldn't change anything. Like, I tell God all the time, thank you for every no, because that no, those no's made me who I am today. I had a friend, she put it best, you'll be better for it. And I didn't understand that. But now I do. Like, I'm better for everything that didn't happen that I wanted to happen.
And you never gave up.
I did. I still gave up. Never gave up. Even when I wanted to.
And you creating a space for women, Black women that look like you. You know what I'm saying?
And there's a lot of Black women in Memphis that look like
a lot, and they should be represented.
They should be.
Yes.
We deserve a seat at the table.
Yes, ma'am. Well, keep going, Bria.
Thank you so much.
Keep going. If you need anything from me in any capacity, just let me know. I'm here.
Well, I'm always calling people. So.
Yes. Look, I'm your source from DeSoto County.
Yes.
Well, Bria Jones, a news reporter over there at WREG News Channel 3. Thank you so much for joining us today on the Verbally Effective podcast. You are amazing and indeed verbally effective. Okay.
Yes.
I want to say happy holidays to all of our viewers, listeners. Thank you guys for tapping into Verbally Effective Podcast. Be sure to subscribe to the Ina Esco YouTube channel and the pod on all streaming platforms as well. Thank you so much.
Bam! You did this.
Okay.
This is the Spotlight Podcast Network.